Now we're going to create a road string on top of the alignment we've just created. For Civil 3D users, you'll find that the Civil 3D alignment has been created for you. Prior to doing this though, what we're going to do is just change the default surface that is being used by the software when we create our strings. We're going to go up to the Active Drawing button, which is found on the Roads tab. We're going to click on the button, and in there, on the first tab, the Design Settings tab, you'll see that we have a default surface name which is currently NS. This means that whenever we create a string within the software, it will prompt us initially for this surface. To save us having to keep changing it, what we're going to do is go and change it now. We're going to change it to our pasted surface. This means that as we design our string in the area outside our site boundary here, we're going to be designing on the natural, but because this is a combined surface, anytime we design within the boundary, we'll be designing on the design surface. So we're going to make sure that the software uses this one by default. We can always change it, but it's nice to be offered it instead of always changing it from the NS. Down the bottom left, click on Save and Exit. Now in a position to create the road string. So on the Roads tab, click on the Road String button, and then you can either press Enter to produce an alignment list or left click close to the alignment on the drawing, which is what I'm going to do now. The software will provide you with a name that has come from the alignment. So at the moment we're unable to rename the string name until we actually use the Rename String tool later on. The object type is a road, which again we can't change, and the template we're applying is going to be the template we created earlier, called Road 1. Notice how the software has defaulted the surface to the surface we chose in the active settings, meaning we don't have to change it. The section sampling and spacing basically means how often should the software take a cross-section along our design. Now, the software will do a lot of extra interpolation for you where we have vertical curves or arcs, so we don't really have to worry about these values too much, but this is very, very similar to what we did with grading strings. Having a very, very dense and small number wouldn't be applicable in this particular instance, so every 25 feet would be a very reasonable value. I would suggest if you do change one value, just set them all to be the same if you need. Underneath, we've got what's known as section width. So at the moment, what the software is going to do is search or interpolate the target surface, which is the pasted surface, 60 feet left of the center line and 60 feet right of the center line. This is for your daylight. So if for whatever reason you're finding that you're in a significant amount of cut or fill, you may find that those values aren't quite enough. However, as a standard, 60 is pretty reasonable, so we'll leave them as they are, and we're going to show you how you can change them later on if you wish. Click OK to close the form. Now, a couple of things are going to happen. First of all, the vertical grading editor will be displayed on screen, and we're going to talk about that later, so we're actually going to close that down for the time being. The line work for our string has also been drawn, in similar fashion to what happened with the grading string. Any changes we make to the alignment will impact the position of that string, again, similarly to what we did with the grading string. Let's now have a look at how we can make edits to the string once it's been created.